So I've been given several questions. I'll just very quickly, in the interest of time, quickly give you answers. The first one says, explain the selection process for Swadeshi Muslims or Christians. Well, first step, we're going to create a criteria, a definition, and this will be developed and finalized by a group of Swadeshi Muslims themselves, not by me. We put it up on the website and invite people who want to give a testimony, give their opinion, join, subscribe, and then the idea is that we'd like to start having regular seminars by Swadeshi Muslims on these topics, and I'm hoping that VHS and Infinity Foundation work together because it's very aligned with your ideas also. So we are very, very open to collaborating and working together. The idea is to advance the unity of our country, give the right kind of right-minded Muslims an avenue. So we would like to do that. Next question is, Islam doesn't approve idol worship. That's the core of our faith. Do you require Muslims can ignore this aspect of Islam to be Swadeshi? This is a good question. I don't expect them to do any Murti Puja. They should not violate there, but they should have no problem. We are doing it. So the issue of them going around the world doing smashing idols and all that has to be completely abandoned, and they have to distance themselves from people in the past or present Muslims who are doing this idol smashing. They have to condemn the Islamic invaders who came and did all this to us. That doesn't mean that they have to start doing the idol worship, but they should certainly respect that we are doing that. The mutual respect criteria which you have proposed, does it have conflict with some of the elements of Quran, such as the characterization of Hindus as kafirs? Yes. So certain demands are core, absolute mandates that they have to subscribe to because they are not in violation of Quran. They are only in violation of Arab culture and Muslim practice and politics of some imams. So that's the first wave of requirement, that's the minimum requirement to be classified as a Swadeshi Muslim. Then there is a debatable space, contested space. Contested space is the next stage. You see, there is a Reformation movement within Islam going on. I know some American Muslims who are creating a Islam reform movement, like Christianity had a reform movement within Christianity. And that is what led to a very scientific and technological breakthrough in Christian countries, because until the Reformation happened, Christianity was not able to advance. So there are people who are trying to do that. So that's a second stage. That's a stage where they actually have to look through. And I have some thoughts and ideas on which Muslims have to discuss. But I have some ideas on how Quran can be reinterpreted in a way that is quite different from the way it has been interpreted today. And I'm not a Quran scholar, but I have some very clear ideas which I will share in my book. Then there is this question, how will we deal with jihad? So jihad has to be, it's one of those contested areas. I find a lot of Muslims saying that today we don't have to do jihad. That was at a time when we were under threat. Today we don't have to do jihad. This whole business of expansionism has to stop. Conversion has to stop. Whatever jihad they need to do is internal. There are enough problems within the Muslim community. They have to go after those and sort them out. The jihad against others, because they are not under threat, we are not attacking them. That is to be deactivated. I would want that all these verses should be sort of put aside as saying these are not to be taught now because they are not relevant. They were relevant in a certain context, they are not relevant in this context. That doesn't mean we are deleting them or expunging them, they are just not relevant in this context. So then the final one, I really don't understand. He says, is Mia Mr. Owasi a Swadeshi Muslim? Well, clearly he's not. Okay. Thank you very much.
Well, first question I have is somebody very depressed. He says, Pink Revolution has grown fourfold since May 2014. Not correct. In fact, livestock exports have seen a record rise. Not correct. Please file an RTI with the Commerce Ministry and get the exact figures. Yes, it did rise in 2014 to 2015. And then I wrote a letter saying withdraw the subsidies. You know that the Congress government was giving subsidies for export of beef. And I said withdraw those subsidies. And since then, the export has gone down to a minimal. Please have it checked and don't believe these propaganda that is being put out here and there that it has gone up. Of course, there is still Mr. Kapil Sibal's butchery butcher khana that he has. I'll have to investigate it. People are saying that he has one, but there are here and there illegal slaughter taking place, but that also has come down very substantially. We do need gaushalas for those cows who have stopped giving milk. And I think rather than put cesses on petrol and diesel, they should abolish all those cesses and put only 1% for gaushalas. And I'm sure that all of you will give that money for building gaushalas. Now, second question is, Vaishno Devi Shrine has 400 Muslims on board. I didn't know that. I will check it up and then I will tweet about it. Certainly no Hindu temple board can have a Muslim, even one, leave alone 400. A question about what is the status of Mr. Chidambaram's jail yatra? Well, the reservation has been made, awaiting the train to come on the platform. And he is bound to go. He is no escape because Hindu terror is after him. There's a very large question called what is India's China policy? Well, I think we should be friends with both the United States and China, but friendship is not that easy. We have to examine which interests of China we can meet, and in return for it, what interests of ours China must meet. The same thing we must do with the United States. This atmospherics is not a substitute for policy. At the moment, the policy is developing, but we do want good relations with China. Now, then there is a question, will you publish your autobiography? Well, I'll have to wait some more time. My horoscope says I will live to 118. So I don't know when I should write it because a lot of careers will get ruined if I speak the truth. So I will choose. I will certainly write it. I have been writing it also, but I have been hiding it. And one of these days, one of these years, not one of these days, I shall certainly publish my autobiography. Now, there's one last question. Which other Swami can pull people on a Sunday afternoon siesta time? Well, this is a tribute to the people of Bombay who, when they see a issue of national interest, they will come anytime, even if it is pouring rain.
Yeah, there was one more question. How can atheists be accommodated into the Indian grand narrative? Well, nothing in our tradition has required that you must have a certain faith in God. I mean, the issue is, are you hostile to those who do have faith in God? So as long as you're not hostile to others, as long as you respect other people having their faith, and you're not campaigning against, Hindus and so on, you are free to choose your own ideology. I don't think that disrupts the Indian grand narrative.
One thing I might put to you, I mean, I don't want to argue with you, but I think Arya Samaji doesn't have idol worship. So Muslims can accept